Welcome to Spartan Up Podcast. Today's show is a little bit different because we're a little bit truncated. We've got myself, Colonel Tim Nye here, and I've got Joe DeSena, CEO and founder of Spartan. So we're missing kind of Sephra the Seed Huntress, Johnny Waite, Dr. Johnny Waite. Dr. L is not with us. So we're just going to try to do this ourselves today, right?
I think we can handle it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we can. Now, this interview specifically is with Pete Cohen. Pete Cohen is a world-class motivational speaker, life coach, all-around positive force. Is that how you describe him?
Yeah, you know what's amazing about Pete? I met him years ago down in Florida. We were at an event with a bunch of coaches, and he stood out. He started out as a fitness coach. He became basically a corporate coach. He goes into sports teams, the kind we watch on TV,
right,
on
pro sports,
all over the world, and helps turn them around. Because at the end of the day, and you would appreciate this, sports teams all have pretty high-performing athletes in them.
Right.
And so what separates the winners from the losers is that little difference.
Right.
He brings that little difference. He brings that positive attitude.
Yeah, and learning how to, I assume, put the team together is really important.
Yeah, and on it, he shed a light on me. Like, the guy's so positive. It's not only for sports team; it's for anybody.
You're a fairly negative guy.
I'm a fairly negative guy.
Not at all out there. Anyway, let's go ahead, listen to the podcast, listen to the interview. I think we'll all get a lot out of it. Hang in there to the end of it. All right. Well, you shouldn't hang in there. It's going to be great. Meet us at the end of it, and we're going to talk a little bit about life lessons and how we can apply it to your own life.
All right, I am here with Pete Cohen, my buddy, for Spartan Up Podcast on the farm. The mountains behind me, the sun's coming up over, and this guy is a ball of energy. You're a lunatic, basically.
I am, but it takes one to know one, right?
It takes one to know one, and you're only going to be in town for like...
It's ridiculous. 8 hours. Well, I got in late last night, and I'm excited to be here, but I said to you before we started filming, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life is coming here only for a few hours, because this place is just like, it's like, how do you describe this place if you were going to put it into words?
It's pretty unbelievable. Here's the crazy thing is when we only had 1 million social media followers, I had offered an invitation to the entire world, those 1 million people. I said, anybody, come to the farm, come work, kind of like a Mr. Miyagi thing. You can come work here. You could split wood, find yourself. My wife lost her
How many people came?
You invited 1 million people. I mean, you see Don lurking around behind us there.
Yeah, with Burpee.
Don showed up. There's been like maybe 50 people since the invitation, which is a tiny percentage out of 1 million. So you're looking at it and you're saying this place is beautiful, but the reality is people don't want to do the work. They don't want to. It's easier to just stay in their apartment, go down, get their bagel, right? Live a life that was kind of settled and mediocre. And I'm not picking on anybody, because we all do it.
Well,
but you come here, you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? You're like an eagle and a wolf.
And a bear.
And a bear all in one, right?
But I was thinking before we were going to film this about how there's a series on Netflix. It's called New Amsterdam. It's this hospital and the medical director takes over, this new medical director. I've only watched like the first half an hour because someone said you want to watch it because the medical director basically says, how can I help you? He goes and meets all the doctors and the first thing he says is, how can I help you? And everyone looks at him like he's mad because they're not expecting him to say that. They're kind of expecting him to say, this is what we do. And, I'm here because I want to help you, because your mission is to do something that is so needed. It's like beyond ridiculous, to get, and I talked to you about it, to get 100 million people off their couches. And I said to you the other day, how can I help you? And said, burn couches. And I thought, okay, I could do that, but I might get in trouble. But maybe we could get everyone to bring their couches here.
Would that be amazing?
But it's like you're being serious when you say this.
Instead of burning, man, we create something called Burning Couch.
Yeah. You could have a mountain that is as big as that mountain.
It would be an annual event.
That is just of couches.
Just couches.
But yeah, it is weird that you say that. And, do people think you're joking or do they just...
Oh, no. I went with Alberto, who's also got a camera. If you're just listening, you're not watching. He's filming some social pieces. And I went with Alberto. We were down in Texas. And I said, let's just go couch shopping today. Because I just want to see what people... I've never been couch shopping. And I'm going into these stores and I'm sitting in the couches, and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, you put your feet up. Right now, the salespeople thought I was completely nuts, but like, it's easy to just hang out in your comfort zone. That's what we do.
Yeah, but that's where we die. You know, I believe that we're only here for one reason, and that's to grow. You know, there's a guy who won the Nobel Prize in 1930. Two people I want to talk to you about. The guy who won the Nobel Prize in 1937. It was Hungarian. He said it was a theory called syntropy, which was basically every living cell lives for one reason: to express itself fully. If you're not expressing yourself fully, if you think expressing yourself fully is sitting on a couch, you're dying. There's a part of you that's dying. We can live to 120. Yeah. We have that ability.
I'm going to 150.
Well, I'll see you there. But most of us won't get there because we're not reinventing. We are just comfortable. And the only reason we're here is because other people reinvented them. Not reinvented, but they've kind of found a reason to keep living. And if you can't find a reason to keep living, that's part of why I'm here, which we can talk about. But the other guy that won a Nobel Prize in 1972, he basically said the biggest problem in the world is there's too much information. Right, and you think about it, 1972.
That's pretty incredible.
And now you think about how much information there is, and it's just messing people up because people are consumed by information.
It's too much to process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say you got to choose who you focus on, and I would focus on everything all Spartan, because Spartan is only about one thing, right? Becoming a warrior of your own life.
In ancient Sparta, we have a race in ancient Sparta that you and I have to get. Yeah, good. So we've got this race in ancient Sparta. I meet the ultimate Spartan professor, dedicated 55 years of his life to studying Sparta and the Spartans. And I asked him, like, how did they live? And he said they believe in a few things. One was the structure. And I said, what was the structure? He said the structure was the body.
Yeah.
That's what they called it, the structure. And if you took care of the structure, everything else fell in place. Everything became more efficient. And so there were just a few things they did, right? They got out of their comfort zone every day.
Every day.
They ate minimal food, the black soup. You can eat anything you want as long as it's black soup.
Yeah.
Right? and so if we could just take a couple of notes from that and eat a little less, stress ourselves in a good way, go for a sprint on this field once a day, right? All of a sudden, those cells you're talking about,
they come alive.
They come alive.
But also, it's the greatest feeling. I think one of the things you see in the world is you just think right now how many people there are in the world that are probably sitting on their couch going, you know what, I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like doing whatever. I don't feel like, cooking. I don't feel
Listen, I didn't feel like meeting you this morning at 5 a.m., right? I was in the middle.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with it? I mean, is that really that important when the message is far more important than what you feel like? You think what I feel like is that important?
Right.
It's got nothing to do with it.
No, but my point is we all feel that way,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
And so what did I do? I laid in bed and I said, what would the average person do? And I said, roll over, go back to dreaming.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be average.
Yeah.
So I'm going to meet Pete outside.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you come walking in and shake my shit up.
Well, we've got, that's why I'm here, because of what you're now doing with Spartan, which is taking things to another level. This whole education piece, this whole anchor piece, which
you know why we're doing education?
Why?
I tried to get into Cornell. It took me 4 tries to get in. And so I was like, how many people don't get to go to one of those Ivy League institutions and get that pedigree status?
Get the badge.
Get the badge.
That's
right?
Another, how would you say, industry is in trouble.
Well, I've gotten to know. Sorry to interrupt you. It's your podcast, and I'm doing too much talking here. But I got to know one of the people at the center of that whole college scandal. Have you been in the UK? Have you heard about this college scandal? So there's been a bunch of parents indicted that basically were figuring out a way with some bad people how to get kids into schools, into the top schools, and they were forging some documents and this and that. And as a parent, you could see how it happens, right? Because you want your kid to go to the best school because it sets them up theoretically for life. Anyway, they all got in trouble, and big trouble, like front of the newspaper, going to jail, the whole thing. And some actors and actresses are even in the mix. Lawyer, I mean, you name it, they've all been busted. And so why don't we just create education and make it democratized
and make it easy for people.
Make it easy for people.
Find some great teachers, which I know you've got some great teachers involved who are just going to share some knowledge. And I think
this is going to be above Harvard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be
this stuff that people will learn.
Yeah.
Like the piece I'm teaching is all about leadership. So, as you know, I've spent the last however many years of my life trying to work out what does it actually take to be a leader, not just in business, but to be a leader with your health, your relationships, to be a complete leader. Because yes, we need to follow people. Like you're someone who I follow, right? You really are.
I follow you.
In my mind, I'm working out and I'm thinking, if Joe was standing here, what would I do? And I think he'd do more. He'd go further. He'd go faster. So we all need leaders, but we all need to become leaders, you know. And I think deep down we all really want to take it because, you know, Stephen Covey talks about this in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. Or I want to ask you this question. Another one is, hell is coming to the end of your life and meeting the person that you could have been.
Oh, that's a good one.
So for you, because actually you've said the best quote ever. I know you like one quote, which was my coach said to me about, you know, happiness is wanting what you have. But you've said the quote, which if I did get a tattoo, I think it might be this, but maybe I need to shorten it, which is death is the price that you pay for life.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So make it worth it.
So
Yeah.
sorry?
Make it worth it.
Make it worth it. You know,
Yeah.
what do you want to do with this life? And that story of your son with the ice cream, you know,
Oh,
the
that's a good
marshmallow
one.
test.
Yeah. Well, let's tell him.
So,
So-
yeah, go on, you tell him.
We were. I had learned about Professor Walter Mischel, Stanford University, 1972's marshmallow test. Take children, put them in cubicles, and offer them a marshmallow or a cookie, and see what happens. Do they go for the marshmallow or cookie, or when he
Yeah.
says, "Look, if you wait, I'll come back and give you 2." Well, most kids take the marshmallow. Follows the kids for 30 years, finds the kids that were able to wait, better everything in their life.
Yeah.
Better everything. And so I want to test my kid. So I give him a scoop of ice cream. I'm nervous because this is setting me up as a parent for like, oh, I got a kid that's going to take the marshmallow. Anyway, 3.5 minutes into waiting for his scoop of ice cream, Jack, my son, turns to me and says, hey, Dad, how long do I have to wait to get 15 scoops? And so the point is we're all playing for 15 scoops, right? Don't play for 1 scoop.
Yeah.
Play for 15 scoops.
And what would 15 scoops look like? You know, and I think
15 scoops look like this.
Yeah.
This is 15 scoops.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
scoop is the couch in the apartment in the city.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's you know, my goal from doing more stuff with Spartan is to help the Spartans who are already involved to become even better athletes of life, not just with the physical side of things, but you know, the whole thing of how can I help. I would encourage everyone who listens to this podcast to we were talking about this yesterday. How can they help take this to another level? And I believe the best way they can take it to another level is to become more inspirational themselves. So people want to be around those people, but also for those people to, you know, almost like buy a ticket for other people to do races, because that's how we're going to get more people involved. It's hard to get people to do a race, you know.
I'll do one better for you. Don't even buy a ticket. If you have an issue, I'll give you a ticket.
Give you a ticket. Here you go again.
Like I don't like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
who?
Yeah.
It's not about that for us. We just want to get you to do the work.
Yeah. And you
Oh, by the way, that's the theme. That's the theme is hashtag do the work.
do the work.
That's it. Do the work.
Yeah.
You wanna
Because
ma-
the
you-
greatest achievement is from when you do something that you don't feel like doing it. And this is part of what we're going to be teaching in this leaders piece, is to be able to identify with the person that you want to come. You know, there were some studies that we were involved with years ago where we wired people up to fMRI machines and we asked them to think of themselves, and we saw the part of the brain that lit up. Then we asked them to think of a stranger. We saw the other part of the brain light up. Then we asked them to think of themselves in the future. The part of the stranger part lit up. That's why most people will have that scoop of ice cream, because they don't have any consequence of what they're doing for the future. And we have an opportunity to leave a mark, you know, we do. And we're going to wake a few people, a lot of people, millions of people.
We're gonna wake up 100 million people.
100 million people. And we're going to inspire people to be Spartans. You know, there's that I have to say this because you encouraged me to really look at the history of the Spartans. And there's a story of I think his name was Phidippides, who was the guy who ran 150 miles to Sparta and then run back again. And the Spartans said, look, we'll help you, but we need to just finish our little ceremony here, then we'll come and fight. And basically that changed the world, because if the Spartans hadn't helped the Greeks in that battle, then the Persians would have taken over.
But the favorite part for me of that story, and then we're going to take a break and run up that mountain with the kettlebell, and maybe we'll take a little Fluffy Burpee.
Yeah.
Fluffy Burpee's a dog that's hanging around our feet here if you're just listening. But the favorite part for me about that story, when the professor told me, was the Spartans were sitting there and they were doing their 2 weeks of ceremony. They worshipped a god, and by the way, they worshipped a young god, Apollo. And when asked, why are you worshiping this god? And they said, why would we worship an old man?
Yeah.
We want to worship somebody fit.
Yeah.
Right? And so they would go through that whole thing. And I guess the battle's about to start. And he runs all the way to Sparta. He's like, we need you. We need you. Like, our future is dependent on this. And the Spartans are like, well, we can't really get to it right now. We're in the middle of our ceremony.
Yeah.
We need. All right, fine. We'll send one person. You know, so like they didn't sweat. They never sweat this idea of legacy. They were like, if we do a great job now, legacy just happens.
Yeah.
Whereas we are all sweating, oh, we got to save money, we got to create a legacy, we got to build this thing. They didn't worry about that. And here we are 2,500 years later
Still
talking about them. So the
Why
point
do you
is,
think that is? Why do we still?
because I think to their point, if you focus on the here and now, in that example they were focused on their ceremony, if you focus on the here and now and you do a great job, legacy just happens.
Yeah.
Legacy just happens. But if you're sitting on the couch,
nothing's gonna happen.
what the fuck's gonna happen?
You're gonna process a whole lot of nonsense. And feel like.
Can you imagine you and I
something's
sitting
missing.
on this thing 100 years from now? You and I are sitting on this bench. Are we saying, "Hey Pete, hey Joe, I wish we sat on the couch more
Yeah.
throughout our life"? No way.
Yeah. No way.
No way. I wish we climbed that
Yeah,
mountain
I wish
more.
we climbed that mountain
I
more.
wish I spent more time in Pittsfield, Vermont with you, Joe.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's do that.
We got to do that. Let's take the break. We'll run up the mountain. We'll come back.
I hope you're not sitting still while you listen. If you are, you better get a burpee break in.
How was that?
Good.
It was good, right?
Well, that's what we're designed to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel better.
You
Right,
look
you
better.
So you get up there and you see the sun, and what's amazing about this place too is the clouds, they hang low. So when you're on top of the mountain like we just were, and you're looking down, it feels like the ocean.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever been anywhere like this. It is
God's country.
Unbelievable.
So when we picked this place, a lot of people say, why would you pick Vermont, a town with 400 people? There's nothing there. Why would you go there? I say to myself, and I say to them, I raced all over the world. Literally, my bike and my feet were all over the world, countries everywhere. And this is the most beautiful place. Now, you got to like the cold. You got to like the rain, right? You got to like the snow. You got to like this harsh weather. And you got to like nature versus...
Well, nature is... We are seasonal, right? And if we live with seasons, I think, again, we can be our best. We get to appreciate more. It's just we're moving so far away from that we need more people that are all up for nature, right? Because without nature, what is there? There's nothing. And that's what we are. Whether we like it or not, we are a part of nature. So, yeah, it's...
You just gave me a good idea. We should invite people here and then have a big safe, right? Literally a safe with the tumbler and the handle, and their phone and computer has to go in the safe, and you see it lock, and right.
I heard Quentin Tarantino just do an interview for his new film with DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, and he was asked a question, and he said, the guy said, if you had one wish, what would the wish be? He'd say, get rid of all mobile phones.
Yeah.
It's everyone knows it, but it's a distraction, and we're getting lost in that. And then I think that's why I think there's a lot of mental health problems in the world. It's a great thing because a lot of people will be listening to this now through their mobile device, but it's a drug, right? And we have to learn, which is what you're all about, which is that delay in gratification. That's where sorry,
Gotta learn to live without it.
You have to. You appreciate,
or you know what we could do? I mean, if I could convince Apple, right? If you can convince Apple and Google and Samsung, the phone is okay, but they've got to be the size and weight of a kettlebell.
Now that's a good idea.
That's a good idea
to hold it there. That's it.
Right?
You only get what's the word? Reception if you hold it above your head.
Right? No,
like that.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I heard you've had some problems with this at airports.
I had a problem yesterday with this.
I had a problem. They wouldn't let me take my thing with me.
Your Indian weighted bat.
What do they call it? Clubbell, yeah.
The clubbell.
It's at Gatwick Airport.
I got in. I got up at 4:30 yesterday. Raced to the airport. Went to check this baby in. If you're just listening, we got our kettlebell here. This is version 10 because I keep losing them at airports.
$70 a piece, right?
Yeah, and I'm checking it in, and the supervisor says, "No go. Can't do it." I said, "What do you mean? I flew 2 days ago. I've flown to 100 countries. I've been on 100 flights. Can't do it. Sorry." I said, "Get me a supervisor." He said, "I am the supervisor." And so now I'm stumped because I'm going to miss my flight, and I got to go to New York, and we're filming. And a really kind lady comes over, and she says, "Let me get you a box." Even though she's below the supervisor. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, I got to film it. I got to show managers. Like she's taking a leadership position, right? That guy is standing in front of me, chest puffed out. I'm the supervisor. You can't take this kettlebell. That could be a weapon.
Yeah, right.
You'd have to be the Jolly Green Giant for this to be a weapon.
Yeah.
So she gets me this box, loads it in a box, and then another woman walks over and says, "I know you. You're the guy that always brings that kettlebell to the airport." So anyway, somehow they convinced the supervisor to allow it. I land in New York. I get, like I always do, I get to the belt, the conveyor belt. I see the box. I open the box. Not only is the kettlebell inside, and this is a mystery that no one's going to be able to solve for us, but there's a dress and a pair of women's shoes in the box with the kettlebell now.
Only you could tell that story.
I have no fucking idea how that happened.
Yeah.
I have it on film. I literally, and it's like a leopard printed dress. It's not just a regular dress.
See, I don't know anyone in the world that could happen to apart from you. But when we were talking, I was thinking, if this kettlebell could talk, what would it actually say?
What would that kettlebell say? The kettlebell would say,
"Lift me.
Pick me the up. Pick me the up. Start carrying me, you lazy."
That's exactly what it's saying. Yeah.
All right. Well, last bits of advice. 3 things that the couch sitters should do.
Well, the couch sitters should definitely get involved with what we're about to do with Spartan and the whole education piece, this whole anchor piece. You know, you give out some great advice on the podcast, but we're going to go deep. We're going to really give people what they need. No BS here. How to take the lead in your life. This is an area I've been working in for many years. Not only have I coach and mentor leaders all over the world, but just everyday people, right? There's no better feeling than feeling like, you know what, I'm in charge of my life. And I've also, not sort of blown my own trumpet here, but, I've coached some of the finest athletes ever walked the face of the earth to win Olympic medals, some very famous teams to, win championships. The principles are all the same, right? But you got to learn how to apply those principles. So I'm so excited to be here. We're going to be filming all day.
So #do the work.
#do the work and become. Just decide, listen to this today and say to yourself, you know what, I want to take the lead in my life. You don't have leadership is the most valuable commodity in the world. It ain't diamonds and gold and silver. It's leadership. Look at the problems in the world. I think it's a sign that we all need to stand up and go, I'm taking the lead. I'm not relying on these people to make all the decisions that are going to affect my life. So
how did you get into leadership? You seem like the most unlikely leader. You're bubbly and you're fun and you know.
That's such a good question because someone actually asked me, or I actually asked a friend of mine, who do you think of as a really good leader a few years ago? And he said me. And I was really shocked by that because I said, well, how do you classify a leader? And he said, a leader is someone that you want to follow. And I thought, wow, that's so important because I grew up thinking leaders were people you had to follow. They were the leaders in business and you do as you're told. And those types of leaders, you never get the best out of people. So I've dedicated my life to what does it take to get the best out of people, find people that they want to follow. And, that's the rest of my life, help people take the lead. And, Spartan is a great example of that's what you're all about. That's what this podcast is about.
You tell me if I'm right, but leadership really is about being an energy giver.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, it's not about you, actually. Right. It's about you bringing through other leaders.
I mean, if we were here and we were about to take that mountain and bullets were flying and it looked like complete carnage and you stood up there and you were full of energy, we'd probably march right behind you and we'd try to take that mountain. But if you were sitting there and you were curmudgeon and you were doubting yourself and you weren't sure if we're going to go up or down, we're not following you.
Yeah, and I think that's what's happening in the world today. We need a crisis to bring out the best in people. And I don't think we should be waiting for a crisis or a diagnosis. We should be deciding that there's something better in front of us. Like that hope, John Stockdale, the Stockdale paradox. Yeah. He knew it was going to be hard, right? Everyone died of a broken heart because they were thinking we're going to get out tomorrow. And he was like, no. I also heard he beat the crap out of himself because they wanted to use him as a propaganda piece, the Vietnamese. But he was like, no, he was just smashing himself in the face because he was like, you ain't going to make me look good. You're making me look terrible because I shouldn't be here. Yeah. But he got through it because he had hope.
So one, take the lead.
Take the lead.
2,
push through.
Push through.
You got to push through. When you don't feel like it, you got to push through because the greatest feeling, there's no better feeling, right, of when you don't want to do something and you do it and you go, hey,
I did it.
Look what I did.
Yeah.
That's no better feeling. But
that was like halfway up the mountain when you and I were huffing and puffing.
Yeah, absolutely. You can think, I've got to get there. I've got to make that happen. I want that feeling. The instant gratification is a good feeling. But
so one, take the lead. 2, push through. 3,
Spartan up.
Spartan up. What does Spartan up mean?
You're a warrior, You're only here because other people have fought for your life, in some way, shape, or form. You got to fight for yours, so that you can live to 120 or 100. You're going to 150. But I'll see you at my 120th birthday.
I will see you there.
Yeah,
no,
we're gonna be there.
no canes, no walkers. The deal.
No, I'm definitely going to be there. Don's definitely going to be there. You know,
Yeah,
hope to me is the future is better than where we are now, and that's what's needed. Hopeful leaders.
Hope.
Hope.
Hashtag do the work.
Do the work and Spartan up.
Spartan up.
Not now, but right now.
All right, not now, but right now. I like that. I'll tell you what. I don't know what I like better: hanging out on the farm or hanging out with Pete Cohen.
Well, they're both inspirational.
They are. Rain, shine, snow, doesn't matter. Sitting there, your shoulders drop, and being around Pete, guy's uplifting.
Well, you got that just from listening to him, right? But I mean, I hope you know, and I think you do, just how fortunate you are to live out there in that environment.
We're lucky. We're lucky. I got to get my family to appreciate it as much as I do. But yes,
they do. They do. You know they do. But he is, like I say, you're out there, and you're kind of, as Sefer would say, you're kind of sucking up all of those positive vibes and that life energy. You know, things that I might have thought was a little squishy kind of stuff a few years ago. But I'm trying to evolve and learn from you. But I think Pete's maybe on just even a little higher plane.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't necessarily know where he got it, or anybody that you run into in life that has just a positive outlook. Sephra has it.
Yeah, she
right?
does. Right.
She's
There's
always on.
Right.
There's never. It doesn't matter what
Right.
the world is falling apart around her, and somehow she's continuing to smile. And I just want to point out that those are people you want to be around.
Oh, absolutely. Johnny's the same way.
Yeah.
Of the group, obviously, I'm kind of the more curmudgeon. That's me. I will question just about anything. So, but I mean, what I liked when he was talking about is, you know, a couple of the things, obviously. The find your reason for living, kind of cells grow, everybody evolves, right? So, you know, you can't be content being here, even if you're happy. You kind of got to keep moving and push forward and evolve.
I think content is a killer.
I think it is.
Right?
I think it is.
We don't grow, we die.
Right. And that's individual, that's organizations, that's societal, that's all of it, right? You have to continually evolve, adapt, change. You know, I don't get too military, adapt and overcome kind of stuff.
And what was his answer to what if you don't want to move? What if you don't want to do something?
He just said it's irrelevant, right? You
Right.
still have to do it. Who cares if you don't want to do it? If you don't feel like it? If it's something that needs to be done, you still have to do it.
I was recently with a guy who said he grew up with a friend whose dad was an ex-Ranger.
Okay.
I don't know if
former Ranger.
Former Ranger, never ex,
Yeah.
right? And he said he used to say to the kids, whether you want to do it or don't want to do it, it doesn't matter. We're doing it.
Yeah, you're still going to do it, right?
Right.
So, you know.
Might as well enjoy it. You might as well smile through it.
And how many parents have been through that, right? I mean, that's probably the thing most common to people is family life, right? Everybody's got one. So either you were the kid in the backseat of the car saying, I don't want to go,
Yeah.
or you're the parent saying, hey, shut up, look out the window, and we're going to get there.
We're gonna get it
and
done.
you got there and said, oh, wow, this is great, you know?
You always get through it. So how can we all, you think, apply a little more of that Pete positivity into our lives?
Yeah, I think, like I say, I am quick to, I'm at maybe a little bit further on the other end. So I think it's taking a pause, looking at the problem set that's in front of you and turning it into the opportunity versus the challenge kind of thing, right? And kind of taking that pause and making it a positive.
Yeah. And so if we could all do that a little more, I think life would be better, not only for those around us, but for ourselves.
Right. No, I mean, it's again, I go to Sephra, you know, she'd probably say if you threw the rock in the water and the waves ripple out, right? So your impact, you think you're affecting one other person, that other person is affecting two other people. So your positivity, your energy, that life flow, whatever you want to call it, has a greater impact than you know.
And it affects organizations. It affects businesses.
Well,
it affects sports teams in
It
a big way.
affects organizations quickly, right? You got a negative leadership. He talks about leadership, and leadership is important. Whether you're just the head of your family or whether you're running a multi-billion-dollar organization, if you've got weak leadership, you've got a corrupted unit, whatever that unit is.
But weak leadership, sometimes people might think, can be defined as somebody doesn't know, have domain expertise or doesn't have leadership principles or organized properly. But positivity, just being a positive person.
Positivity is part, obviously, and I think a major part. You could do hours, and there's been books, everything else on what is leadership. So we don't have time for all of that. But being a positive role model is especially in the dark days, right? Dark times, hard times, challenging times. if you're looking up at the boss, whoever that he or she may be, and they're not shining a light, then why would you continue to follow that person?
Did you see that in the military when you were getting shot at or whatever?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there are good leaders and there are poor leaders, and poor leaders will stand out as quick or more quickly than the good leader.
Tim and I are incredibly interested in how you're remaining positive, what challenges you have to be positive, and whether or not you think we're off our rockers. So just give us a comment down below. Send me an email, joe@Spartan. Give Tim a smoke signal, whatever it takes. We want to hear from you.
And who knows, you might find yourself on Spartan Up Podcast in the future.
All right, with that, we're out of here. Stay a little positive today, would you?
I'll try.
I was talking to the audience.
I know.